The world doesn't happen to us. We create it moment by moment with our thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors. As humans, our thought patterns become wired within our brains, and it's very natural for us to become stuck in repetitive thought models. If those patterns are of a negative nature, they can create a world that causes a person to feel powerless to change their circumstances. But we always have the power to change anything we don't like in our lives. It's simply that to make the law of attraction work for us, we need to understand how our brains work in relation to universal law and what exactly it is that we need to do to manifest our lives consciously. Following are 3 super tips to help you transform your thoughts into reality. Number 1, create new neural connections in your brain. New connections are established in our brains through new knowledge. As we add to and build upon new information of a like nature, those connections become stronger. So each time we engage in learning, we are building upon our neurological connections. Our memory sustains the connection, and through repetition, new neural pathways become stronger and maintain the bond. This works very closely with the law of attraction. For example, if you were to meditate every day for 30 minutes or longer, focusing on one single-minded thought of a version of yourself that brings you joy and happiness, you would train your brain to wire it to memory. Essentially, this empowers you to choose a new selection from the infinite field of possibilities and potential, and your mind will begin to believe that that version of yourself is true. Through rehearsing this other version of yourself mentally, the brain records these thoughts and logs them into your memory bank. Once this happens, you begin to project the new version of yourself back into the quantum field, creating a new future for yourself. And this can happen in as little as 2 weeks with intent focus. However, studies have proven that the average person loses their attention span 6 to 10 times per minute, so it does take practice. When we lack the skills of focus and concentration for the things we want, subatomic particles can't pay attention to those things. In other words, they have nothing concrete to be magnetized to regarding our desires. So essentially, the longer your attention span and focus, the more you increase your manifestation ability. And creating these new brain connections through intent focus is definitely a skill worth developing. Number 2, learn to use your emotions to your advantage. Our 5 senses are always picking up information and delivering that data back to the brain. The neurons in our brain then fire the neurotransmitters, which in turn feeds back to us emotions and feelings. So with every thought we have, the brain produces chemical reactions in the body. And if we aren't introducing any new types of thoughts to ourselves, we will continue to feel the same way we always do. So why is this important? Because when a thought pattern is established, the probability of those types of thoughts being a manifested reality is very high. New thought patterns change the chemistry in the body. The new chemistry creates new feelings and emotions. And as far as the brain is concerned, feelings and emotions are the end product of any experience, whether they are produced from a physical occurrence or are imagined. Therefore, the longer we hold on to a thought tied with positive emotion, the more we maintain the probability of its future manifestation. This ties directly in with the first point of creating new connections in the mind. When we introduce new thoughts, coupled with emotion, we change our physical component, and again, what we project out into the universe. In other words, through our own deliberate thinking, we can change the chemistry in our bodies. This allows us to break any emotional addictions of a negative nature that are keeping us stuck in unwanted patterns, and it frees us from repeating the same negative cycles. Number 3, remember that your body serves your mind, not the other way around. Our bodies are merely the vessels that we use for experience. And throughout our early years, we pick up patterns and cycles that stay with us. But it's important to remember that your body is intended to serve the mind as the mind sees fit. But most people have been conditioned to react to their bodies and physical senses, rather than internally creating new thoughts and emotions that break them free from old, undesirable patterns. If you want to change your reality, it's important to rid the mind and body of automatic programming that no longer serves you and rewire the mind and emotions. When this takes place, the body becomes the servant to the mind as it is intended to be. When we think negative, we feel negative. And this creates a loop wherein our negative feeling states reinforce our negative thoughts and vice versa. The mind becomes immersed in the illusion that it is the body, rather than recalling that it has control to not only change the thought patterns, but in turn also change the chemical reactions in the body. Subsequently, the mind holds all the power when it remembers that this is true. So just as when we think negative, we feel negative, we train our bodies to feel positive with emotion by thinking positive thoughts. By breaking any cycles of negative thinking and feeling, we can once again become the mind, or consciousness. And it is through this consciousness that we elevate ourselves into becoming the masters of our own lives and the creators of the things we desire.